Hello everyone, this is Paying Attention during Shabbos davening number 4, and this is literally about paying attention. As you saw in the video just a few seconds ago, on Shabbos morning many a times there is a Kiddush in shul. Unlike the video, it should be after davening, not during davening. But suffice it to say that it's a beautiful Kiddush, and indeed nobody usually eats until they hear Kiddush, which is the halacha. However, since we haven't seen each other all week, there could be a lot of noise in the room. So what happens if Kiddush is said, but you did not hear the Kiddush? You can answer Amen with everyone after all, because you heard everyone answer Amen. But what happens if you didn't hear the words, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei pri hagefen? And allow me to sharpen. Vishamru, Zachor, all the psukim we say before are all minhag. Shabbos morning, the Kiddush is one sentence. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, borei pri hagefen. What happens if you don't hear it? So this goes back to a very big shul, huge shul, in Alexandria of Egypt. The Gemara in Sukkah talks about how big the shul was, that indeed not everyone in the shul heard the chazan. So how did they answer Amen? There would be a guy on the bima, he would wave flags, and every time they waved the flag, everyone knew you're supposed to answer Amen. After all, says the Gemara, that's what they did. But then again, we know that Amen Yitoma, which literally means orphaned Amen, is forbidden. You can't just answer Amen to air. You have to answer Amen to a bracha you heard and you know what the bracha is about. So from this perspective, in this shul, they knew it was a bracha, but they didn't hear which. How did they answer Amen? There's two answers given in the Rishonim. One answer is that indeed they knew which bracha, because Chazarat Hashat say is 19 blessings. They knew when the chazan began, and they could basically, based on timing, know what bracha it was. They just didn't hear the bracha. In that case, you can answer Amen. It's not an orphaned Amen, because you know where the chazan is standing and what he said. Very much like a Kiddush in shul, you know it's Borei Pri Hagefen when you answer Amen. And therefore, it would be no problem if you didn't hear it, as long as you know that's what the chazan said. But the second answer doesn't help us. The second answer is that this is only in Chazarat Hashatz when you've already previously davened, and therefore you don't have to fulfill any obligation. So you're answering Amen to someone else's bracha. It's very much like if someone stopped walking down the street with an apple and says Borei Pri Ha'etz, and you answer Amen. You don't need to eat an apple. You don't need to fulfill any obligation. So you answer Amen in that case. So Chazarat Hashatz, after you've already previously davened, it's okay to answer Amen. But if you have to fulfill your obligation, like in Kiddush on Shabbos morning, in order to eat, you have to hear the bracha and answer Amen to it. Or at least hear the bracha without an Amen. So that wouldn't help us in this case. What's the halacha? The Shulchan Aruch paskins l'chumra, and so does the Ramah, who paskins even more l'chumra. The Shulchan Aruch says that only the second reason is valid. Namely, if you want to fulfill your obligation, you cannot just answer Amen, you have to hear the bracha. And the Ramah says even if you don't want to fulfill your obligation, you shouldn't answer Amen. And therefore, in this case, if you're in a Kiddush in shul, and you didn't hear the words Borei Pri Hagefen, then the only way you can eat from that Kiddush is if you go, you get a proper cup of wine or grape juice, and you make your Kiddush on your own. You don't have to say the whole Vishamru and the whole Zachor. All you have to say is Borei Pri Hagefen. Is there any way out in a case where there is no cup, or there is no wine, or there is no grape juice? In such a situation, you have to rely on a few things that I don't suggest to rely on. Number one, you have to rely on the opinion that you can eat before Kiddush on Shabbos morning. This is the opinion of Rabbeinu David. This is the opinion of the Ravid, but this is not paskind in Shulchan Aruch, and therefore I don't necessarily advise it. But there is an opinion like this. Number two, you can rely on the Tosfot that said, since you know which bracha the Kiddush maker made, and you said Amen, that would be good enough, even though it's not paskind in Shulchan Aruch. So you'd have to rely on two opinions that are out there in the Rishonim, and yet not paskind. If that's a situation, I really don't suggest that you do it. There's no obligation to eat from the Kiddush. You can definitely eat at lunch later on, and therefore, in that situation where you did not hear the words Borei Pri Hagefen, my advice is either make Kiddush on your own afterwards, or don't eat from that Kiddush. If there's pressing circumstances, such as someone would be very offended that you're not eating from his Kiddush, and there's no way you can say that Borei Pri HaGefen on your own, then, and only then, do I suggest that you rely on these two opinions. A, that you can answer Amen to a bracha as long as you know what bracha was made, even though you didn't hear the bracha. And number two, maybe you can eat before Kiddush, but that's only in pressing circumstances. Regular circumstances, you have to go ahead and basically hear the bracha and answer Amen if you want to fulfill your obligation. So, Bezrat Hashem, either our Kiddushes will be more quiet so we can all hear the bracha of Borei Pri HaGefen, or, worst case scenario, we'll lose some weight by not eating at the Kiddush. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom.